He wasn't a headline, he was the line that held everything together. Bob McNab didn't chase applause, he chased down danger so others could breathe. Quiet feet, relentless mind, a left back you never got past twice. Before Arsenal were champions, he was already bleeding for the badge, game after game, tackle after tackle. He stood where it hurt and never asked for glory. When they speak of the double of 71, they recite the scorers, the banners, the names carved in gold. But McNab, he was the part that didn't sparkle. He was the part that endured. Over 300 appearances, a wall with no statue, a hero with no headline, and when it was done, no parade, just silence. This isn't nostalgia, it's a correction, because football owes men like McNab more than a footnote buried beneath medals. Subscribe if you still believe the game should remember those who carried it on their back, even when no one looked. Robert McNab was born on 20th July 1943 in Huddersfield, West Yorkshire. No youth academy pipelines, no shortcuts, just dust, boots, and discipline. Huddersfield Town took him in as a teenager, and by 1963, at just 20, McNab made his first team debut. For 5 years, he wore the Huddersfield shirt with pride. 68 league games, no goals, just tackles, blocks, and belief. He was a fullback who didn't need the ball to change the game. By October 1966, he'd outgrown the second tier, and Arsenal knew it. Manager Bertie Mee signed him for £50,000, a statement transfer, not a gamble. He was 23. He arrived at Highbury with no fuss, no fanfare, just boots that spoke for him, and lungs that never quit. And the timing couldn't have been more perfect. Because Arsenal weren't just building a team, they were building a legacy. And McNab was the first brick laid. In a side full of stars, he was the presence they couldn't do without. By 1970, McNab was already trusted. But what came next would carve his name into history. The 1970-71 season, Arsenal's greatest chapter. The double. First division title and FA Cup in the same breath. But even before that immortal run, McNab had helped Arsenal win their first European trophy, the 1969-70 Intercities Fairs Cup. He was more than just a defender, he was the calm at the heart of the storm. He featured in 42 league matches that season, starting 38. On May 8, 1971, under the roaring Wembley crowd, he played all 120 minutes of the FA Cup final against Liverpool. Charlie George struck the winner in extra time, but McNab had already done the silent work no stat sheet could honor. Ask anyone who was there, it wasn't just flair that won the double, it was the backbone. And Bob McNab was its spine, unshaken, unspoken, and irreplaceable. McNab wore England's shirt with pride, earning 4 caps between 1968 and 1969, including a debut in a 0-0 draw against Romania, another appearance against Romania, a 3-1 win over Northern Ireland, and a 1-1 draw with Bulgaria. But fate is never steady in football. By late November 1970, a groin injury began to shadow his steps. It started small, manageable at first, but game after game it grew louder. He missed nearly 4 months, a brutal stretch during Arsenal's title run. His absence was so keenly felt, it became part of club folklore, even referenced in the film Fever Pitch. His doubtful status for the 1972 FA Cup semi-final, a symbol of how much he meant. They adapted, they survived, but something was missing. Ray Kennedy would later admit, "We missed Bob more than anyone noticed. He made it look simple, but without him, the balance shifted." And then, like he never left, McNab returned in March 1971. He slotted back in like a final piece of steel. No celebration, no drama, just tackles that mattered, runs that restored rhythm, and a presence the squad had felt in his absence. Frank McClintock once said, "People talk about our flair, but Bob was our foundation." The game moved forward, but when it wobbled, it was McNab who held the weight. Beyond Arsenal, McNab added more chapters to his legacy, playing for Barnet and Tacoma Stars, indoor, managing Vancouver Whitecaps in 1980, and later the Tacoma Stars in the early 80s. He also made a cameo on ITV's On the Buses in 1973. His daughter, Mercedes McNab, would become a well-known actress. But at Arsenal, and in English football, he was the steel in the story. The name fans remember for the moments that mattered most. April 3rd, FA Cup semi-final replay. Arsenal vs Stoke City. McNab played his part in edging past them, guiding the team towards something bigger. And then came May 3rd, White Hart Lane, North London derby, league title on the line. Arsenal needed a win or a goalless draw. They held, Ray Kennedy scored, and history swung red and white. League champions, 1 down, 1 to go. Just 5 days later, May 8th, Wembley, FA Cup final, Arsenal vs Liverpool, 1-1 at full time, extra time. Charlie George struck, 2-1, and Arsenal became only the second English club to win the double in the 20th century. Never sought a headline, just held the line so history could rise behind him. No speech, no chest beating. He walked the Wembley steps, medal in hand, as part of one of the most iconic 11s English football had ever seen. And to this day, when fans list that sacred end from memory, Bob McNab's name is always there, on the left side of greatness. After 1971, the sun didn't set, but the shadows began to stretch. In 1972, he played in the FA Cup final, which Arsenal lost 1-0 to Leeds United. Bob McNab stayed with Arsenal, solid as ever, through 1972 and 1973, making over 50 more appearances across all competitions. But something had shifted. The double side was cracking. George Graham gone, Charlie George falling out, Frank McClintock nearing the end, and McNab, the loyal anchor on the left, was no longer untouchable. Injuries returned. He faced further injuries and competition from Sammy Nelson in the 1973-74 season. So did change. By the 1974-75 season, McNab managed just 5 league games. New blood, new boots, new plans. After 10 years, 278 league appearances, and a legacy sealed in 71. Bob McNab quietly left Arsenal in the summer of 1975. No tribute match, no farewell article, just a departure. In the same style he'd always played, without noise, but with dignity. He moved to Wolves after Arsenal, then crossed the Atlantic to play for San Antonio Thunder. But the spark was fading, the injuries too deep, the fire no longer fed by the game. And just like that, the man who helped win the double slipped away from English football's spotlight. The league moved on, the fans moved on, but some boots should never be left behind. After leaving the English game behind, Bob McNab didn't disappear. He simply changed pitch. In 1976, he returned to the NASL, this time with the Vancouver Whitecaps. The boots were still laced, but now he was also guiding others. By 1979, McNab stood on the edge of history. The Whitecaps won the NASL Soccer Bowl. His playing role was limited, but his voice mattered. His football brain was trusted in a squad that included Alan Ball and Trevor Wymark. McNab's life became transatlantic. In the 1980s, he returned briefly to England. He served as caretaker manager of Portsmouth in 1999 to 2000. He also served as assistant manager for Tacoma Stars 1983-1985, managed them in 1983 and 1985 to 1986, and managed San Jose Grizzlies 1994 to 1995 in indoor soccer. He was part of a consortium that took over Portsmouth in 1999. It was short, quiet, just like his exits had always been. But it was in California, far from Highbury's cold steel under the Pacific sun, where McNab finally found peace. He settled in Los Angeles, became a property developer, appeared now and then on British football broadcasts, including ITV's coverage of the 1970 FIFA World Cup, offering calm, intelligent insights, never chasing attention, just adding value. He stayed near the game, but never clung to it. No autobiography, no pundit's chair. There's no statue of Bob McNab at the Emirates, no bronze boots in the museum, no banner on match days, no chants in the terraces. He never asked for one. Maybe that's why they never gave it. But ask anyone who stood in the North Bank in the late 60s, they'll tell you what McNab meant. The man who ran until his lungs gave out, who marked wingers out of the game without needing a spotlight, who gave Arsenal his prime, his pain, his everything, and then left quietly so the club could move forward. Today, Bob McNab lives far from the roar. He is 82 in 2025. His name rarely trends. His goals are few. His legacy? Immeasurable to those who remember. He was there for Arsenal's first true modern glory. kept Leeds quiet when it mattered most. Played in 2 League Cup finals, wore England's shirt under Ramsey. Still, he walks alone in memory. No Hall of Fame, no roaring tribute. But real greatness isn't always sung. Sometimes it's just a man who did his job better than most. He didn't lift the World Cup. He didn't chase the headlines. He wasn't built for show, he was built for service. Bob McNab didn't just wear the shirt, he ran it threadbare, game after game, year after year, until the club he gave everything to lifted the double. And then he stepped back. No drama, no fuss, no final bow, just quiet pride, and the respect of those who truly watched. He was the kind of player every team needs, but few remember. And maybe that's the price of being indispensable in silence. So if you still believe football belongs to the ones who ran until they dropped, who marked legends out of games without needing to become one, subscribe, because the game forgets, but we won't. Bob McNab. Arsenal's iron lungs, England's silent wall, football's unsung heart.